I'm Nicole Crane, and I'm popping on a little bit unexpectedly because tonight is the final night that Courtesan Queen is open until midnight. So this call is twofold. It's kind of like a last call for um, for entry, basically. A little warning alarm that the doors are closing, and so just to gather any stragglers, and also for anyone who has decided not to enter the container this time but has been following along and is like somewhat energetically has been involved or committed in some way, to offer you a bit of closure. So a closure call or a closure ritual is something that I like to offer to my clients when we close a container. And I'm really big on ritual myself, so I'm kind of drawing in some of the full moon energy. I kind of like to acknowledge that on like 2 or 3 days on either side of a full moon or a new moon, we're kind of steeped in that energy anyway. So, of course, I'm going to do my own deeper full moon ritual solo tomorrow, but for tonight, I just really wanted to ground into the energy. So, I wanted to call in the intention of highest consciousness and greatest good for the remainder of our time together. And I'm gonna light this candle just to kind of represent that intention. I don't know if I can put it. Oh, that's cool. All right, we'll put it by the glowing lamp. I think. No. I'm like, I don't know if there's enough space. I'm a little cautious with fire. Okay, so part of the reason also that I wanted to formally close this container is I was thinking about this quote. It's actually by Bob Marley, which states, oh, I just had it pulled up. The biggest coward of a man is to awaken the love of a woman without the intention of loving her. So I know that it's a little bit different to awaken the pursuit of your desires, which we're going to still talk a little bit about today. And then if you feel like I've left you hanging. So even though, unless you decide to sign up for Courtesan Queen before midnight tonight, oh, and I'm going to pop the link in real quick so that that's really easy for anyone who is like, wait, what? Closing time. That's super easy for you to get signed in. If you were an email subscriber, there's a special deal for you that still goes through midnight tonight as well. So that's you'll have to find that link in the email. Message me if you can't find that easily. But I wanted to offer you 3 or 4 ideas or helpful tips moving forward. So I'm both offering value for you if you're not entering the container, and also just kind of like priming your system for the next couple days to kind of get you through the the process of filling out your client agreement forms and all that stuff before we get started on Friday. So I'm just going to kind of jump right into I guess there are 4 things. So I will start off with desires, just because I want to make sure that if there are any questions, you have time to ask those. But so in the pursuit of feminine flavored seduction and really cultivating your own inner irresistible seductress, the first thing that I would recommend is to clarify and pursue your desires. So there are lots of ways that you can do that. A couple days ago, I believe it was last Monday, so that would have been the 21st, of course. I guided everyone through a 5 senses reality exercise. So this is something that a lot of different coaches use to cultivate a sense of tangible reality around having your goal and creating energetic spaciousness for success in having that goal. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to write affirmations. Another way is to just make a bullet point list, honestly. And the second piece of this is to check in regularly. So for me, I've like really doubled down on scheduling things. I've actually gotten into time blocking, which is fucking shocking. Like, preparing for this launch has like totally changed me as a person. I don't know if it's gonna stick or not because it is like a very high energy, highly masculine, highly calculated, strategic game that I'm playing. So unless I have either a more solid foundation of masculine support to facilitate running at that higher level, or a deeper level of like participation and enthusiasm from either clients or just like community at large, which, to be honest, well, I didn't know if I was going to say this, but honestly, I don't think that we're going to run Courtesan Queen this time. We're actually 2 people short of the number that I need to run a group program. So, yeah, I'm, in a way, I'm mourning the loss of that, right? And as a piece of that transition, I'm also doing like a hard downshifting into a different energy of preparing my nervous system and my marketing and the way that I connect with people, especially digitally. I'm doing like an energetic downshifting to prepare for that, right? So it's honestly like good timing to be able to be in hibernation mode. And also, it allows me to deepen into my feminine creativity, to deepen into this formless chaos most of the time. Like, I am open to doing one-on-one sessions, so like just so you know, I don't always have to be like creative and formless. Like, when it comes time to like meet with a client, I double down and I'm like totally focused, totally strategic, totally like laser focused on you, and very present. So I mean, presence is like a huge piece of seduction. I'm not going to get into that today, but just to kind of like get your brain percolating on the idea that presence is like one of the most healing and alluring things that women have to offer to the masculine, whether that's the masculine side of a feminine lover or a man. But there's just something so fucking magical that like is so rare to find outside of high femme, or not even high femme, but the feminine energies of that like really laser focused, really intense presence. And I feel like that's why a lot of healers are women, because it's just really potent medicine. So even if you haven't gone through any kind of certification, even if you haven't trained in any healing modalities like massage or Reiki or any of these like formal trainings, by offering someone your complete attention and presence, that offers so much healing. And there's just something so alluring and magnetizing around someone who's able to open up and be vulnerable in that way and offer that. So just to underline one more time, clarify and pursue your desires, check in regularly. So to go back to like, Sunday is kind of like my prep day. Like, I kind of like to take the whole day off, and then like right before I go to bed, I'm like, okay, what are we doing tomorrow? And then from there, like, I kind of like to do like a nightly check-in. Like, did I accomplish all my goals? What's left for tomorrow? What do I need to like focus on as soon as my caffeine kicks in? Things like that, right? So I like to do both a weekly and a daily check-in. Okay, and then the next thing that I would like to invite you to do is to commit to a shift in perspective. So that's the second item. And some of this relates back to that quote that the definition of insanity is doing the same actions over and over again and expecting different results. So it kind of ties into that. Like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep continuing to get the same results. So this goes a little bit deeper and requires another level of accountability, right? So when you commit to this shift in perspective, it means that no matter what you see reflected in the outside world, you still are committed to that shift within yourself. So to relate this back to seduction, when I was doing my mindset training in prep for this launch, I was really focused on business this time, but it made me go back to the last time that I really committed to this format of mindset training. And at that time, it was around this time last year, and I was fully committed. Well, it was actually during the summer, but I was fully committed to seeing a shift in men. Like I was studying under Alison Armstrong and going through her Understanding Men and her, I don't think it's called the Queen's Code, but something, her Understanding Women and her Understanding Sex and Relationships and Understanding or Love and Relationships. Anyway, those 3 tiers of the women workshops and Understanding Men. So I was like doing this deep dive into gendered dynamics and how that relates to happiness and success in relationships. So I kept hearing over and over again, like, men want to make us happy, they're committed to our fulfillment, they'll go out of their way to help us achieve our desires if we can clearly articulate what that is, and then reward them by being appreciative of that support and that action. And in the back of my mind, I was like, this lady's full of shit. Like, men are this other way. They are not heroes. They are not invested in my happiness. And I had so much resistance there. And when I took this mindset training, I was like, how committed am I to getting those results? I've gotten those results my whole lifetime. A lot of that is genetic, honestly. Like, I feel like those are the results that my maternal line has been getting for fucking lifetimes and generations, right? Sorry, I'm gonna get emotional, but I'm just like, when this shift happened for me, it was like so mind-blowing, right? So that's what it took, is a commitment to this shift in perspective. I wanted to see this change in men so badly that I refused to commit to my old paradigm, right? So I just made a decision. I don't think that I actually found the list. I should have looked it up, but there was like an affirmation that I would like listen to over and over every day, and it was taped to my mirror. I would review it in the morning, I would review it at night, and it said something like, every time I leave the house, I meet hot, attentive, kind men. And so there was part of me that was like, oh my God, that happened all last summer. Like, I was at the mechanics, and the guy who owned the shop like drove me home because he didn't want me to like walk like 4 blocks home in the heat. Even like guys at the strip club were just like so kind, so generous, so heart-centered. Like, we'd have these like deep soul-centric conversations about like our achievements in life and what was important to us and what our dreams were and like what made us happy and what inspired us. And it was just like so fucking beautiful. It was like when I was involved in A Course in Miracles International, we would call it a holy instant. And I would have these holy instants over and over again, even with strangers. Sorry, I'm like still so choked up. But I just, before I made that commitment, I like genuinely didn't even think that that was possible, right? So I think that's why, even now I just like, I'm verklempt. So the funny thing is, of course, like all my goals this last round were more about like calling in these 20 women who are really excited to fuck rock stars and would be easy and fun to connect with and to make this call to step into your seductive feminine archetype, right? So I was just like, what the fuck happened to all these hot, kind, amazing men? And I realized that I haven't been leaving my house, right? So the only reason that this is so important for me to share this whole long story is that yesterday I went to CVS and my best friend drove me to get my flu shot because I am like terrified of needles and I've like fainted in clinics across the US many, many times. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to drive myself home. So she was going to wait in the car, but then she was just like, you probably need emotional support. And she like unintentionally was my wingman, but really she was just like being herself. And she's just this like, she's one of those people that has that like childlike innocence and joy. She like very naturally taps into her inner child. She's a very playful person. She's a very celebratory person. And so, like, when the pharmacist told me that it was free, she was like, free! Yay! And, like, something in him changed. And he, like, became a real person again. And, like, all of a sudden, he was just, like, oozing, like, kindness. And he was so gentle. He was, like, making me laugh. He was, like, instinctively just distracting me, like, asking me about when I was sick last winter and just like really taking my mind off of what was happening. And it was just really fucking cool, even like in the moment and then like just like replaying it again afterwards, how her playful feminine inspired this heroic, beautiful, rich, nurturing side of this total fucking stranger. And like in that moment, we all were able to step into being our best selves. So he was sexy, he was oozing this like hot Papa Bear energy, which is like totally fucking irresistible to me. I was more relaxed and open and welcoming and like interactive. And she was just like her gorgeous magical self, of course, right? So, what a gift to just see that like literally all I have to fucking do is leave my house. Like, yes, my gorgeous wing woman kind of played an element in that because like I was like frozen in fear, right? Like anyway, let's not get into that. But like it was just so fucking cool to just see how at just the most basic level these dynamics, these archetypes, these deeply entrenched roles in society just fucking work. So it's pretty effortlessly if you know what energies to get playful and curious around. Whew, okay, maybe I can pull it together. We're halfway through. Okay, the next item on the list is to create and find community. So that's number 3. Fuck, I spent all day communing with my people. So I jumped on a call. Like, miraculously, I was like awake at 11 a.m. So I jumped on a call. There's like a coaching summit happening on Facebook, and the guest of this morning was Mama Gina, who is one of my idols and mentors and heroes, sheroes, whatever. And it was just so fucking gorgeous that like even before I had my morning tea, that like I was like literally blessed with her energy. Like she is so dynamic, so magnetic, so turned on and tuned in. She's really fucking inspirational. So that was like my morning, right? And then I got intellectually stimulated. I'm a part of Carolyn Elliott's, I almost called it Witch Club. That's what I call it in my personal circles, but wealth community. And it's one of my favorite activities of every month is she guides a graduate level discussion of recommended readings. So this was like the first month in several months that I had carved out some time over the weekend to just like really crank out and deep dive into the recommended reading, which like reading an actual tangible book is something that's like so healing and fulfilling to my soul. So to be able to not only indulge in that like alone time and like really basting in these like really fucking juicy intellectual magical metaphysical spiritual ideas, but then also getting to like interact in a community that also prioritizes and values those same ideals. So that was really fulfilling. And then part of the reason this late call is so late, even though like it wasn't officially scheduled, is that there's a community of submissive women that, oh God, I've just really been missing that specific community because it is like I think the it was formally like a workshop on the taboo of the feminine submissive archetype or something like that. Oh fuck, man, and it is like a fully charged taboo. Like there was a moment where I was like really tempted to engage in a discussion that like I just knew that the other person wasn't open to my perspective, and that's okay. Like I don't need to turn Facebook into a war zone every time I log on. And there are like enough dividing energies on the internet right now, right? Like I think that the powers that be are really getting off on the chaos of people infighting when we should be uniting, because I think that a lot of the status quo depends on that resistance to unity and this like creation of otherness amongst people, right? So anyway, going back to creating or finding community, like I am really fucking blessed that even though I don't have time to create community around intellectual witches or submissive feminine energetic juiciness, or the polar opposite with Mama Gina of this like turbocharged, highly sexual pursuit of hedonistic pleasure, feminine empowerment eruption, right? So some of these things are like directly conflicting and they are equally high in priority to me. So that's just a thing. Okay, so just to put this out there, like I am still accepting if I can get those last two women in Courtesan Queen, we're definitely running it. Module 1 drops on Friday. So that's part of the reason that I was so passionate of putting this community together, is that like I don't teach feminine submission. I don't teach weaponization of feminine sexuality either. Like it's this deep inner reflection of what turns me on. What do I desire? What is my erotic, like seductive, sensual expression of my own sexuality? It doesn't have to look like Nicole's. It doesn't have to look like anybody's in this group. My expression is unique, perfect, and beautiful and deserves to be celebrated. And so that's why I wanted to create this community, because it does deserve to be celebrated. And I think that rather than celebration, we keep meeting resistance, division, shame. People try to make you feel guilty for wanting the things that you want. And so whether you decide to join this community or not, I encourage you to find communities that do celebrate your expressions of yourself and that do encourage a deepening in that authenticity, right? Okay. Fuck, I thought I was gonna like get into my mind and out of my throat chakra, but whew. Well, okay, I'm gonna add another thing. So this is not supposed to be number 4, but I'm gonna add a 4th thing that so many of us, I think it is because the throat chakra and your actual throat has such an energetic tie to the vaginal channel and your like your feminine organs, like whether you actually physically have a womb or not, you always energetically still have a womb if you identify as a woman. So I think that whether our trauma is like based around not having a voice and not feeling safe to vocalize our desires and our no and our yes and the things that are important to us and our authentic expression of ourselves, or the trauma comes from physiological damage in the actual pussy, vulva, or womb space, the two are energetically connected, right? So I think that an easy hack, whether your like reproductive organs internally or externally are physiologically, physically available for healing, attention, whether that looks like love, intention, or physical touch, or not, a safe way to clear out some of that energy is by using your throat chakra. So, one of my favorite clients taught me an energetic clearing method called, I think he just said it was like a voo. So you would like sing the word voo 3 times, just the length of a breath. So that is like, whew. I'm going to do the next two, so you can join me if you want to, but voo, voo. So that's just a really simple, easy, quick way to clear out the throat chakra and to release stuckness and blockages in that area. And simultaneously, if you're a woman, that will actually open up and clear out the womb space as well. So to keep in mind the tie between those two areas. Whew, fuck, I needed that. That was so good. Okay, and then, so this was supposed to be the 4th item, but it's technically number 5. So be full of yourself. So this kind of ties into this really full day that I had of like filling my cup up. So this is another way to look at it. Like a lot of people talk about keeping your cup full and that you can't overflow from an empty cup. So to reiterate that, of course, but also to add a little bit of healthy selfishness to that as well, where to be full of your own essence. So this doesn't mean fill up with like the self-care that society wants for you, whether it's like Epsom salt baths or uncooked cookie dough or a pedicure. If the things that fill you up are like communing with witches and communing with like radical dancing like feminists or whatever that looks like to you, go fucking get that thing that specifically fills you up and makes you feel cherished and makes you feel like you belong and makes you feel so fucking alive and so grateful to be breathing air, right? So it can be really fucking simple, it can be really extravagant. Whatever meets your needs, I would encourage you to prioritize getting that every single fucking week. So, and this ties into seduction because nobody wants like an empty receptacle. Like, of course, there's this like collective consciousness that that's what society wants us to be. It wants us to be thin. It wants us to be empty. It wants us to be quiet. But that's not fucking true. Like when you take up space, when you say, I have opinions and I have passions and I have requirements in order to enter my energy, you are not allowed to penetrate my energy, let alone my fucking pussy, if you do not meet these expectations. Like, these are requirements. That's fucking hot. Like, yeah, there's some like unhealthy men, and maybe those are like the kind of guys that you're attracted to. I'm not going to get into that. That's like deeper level stuff, which we'll definitely explore in Courtesan Queen. But in this like basic 101 level, we're not going to get into that. But as far as like healthy men go, when you're like, I know what I want and I can explain it to you, here's the fucking map. Are you coming? They're like, yeah, I just came a little bit. Or that's how I respond too. Like, ooh, that like gets my masculine so fucking hard. Like, yes, ma'am. I'm with you. Teach me how to lead the way. So, um yeah, I think that that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about being full of yourself. Like, it is really what we mean when we talk about magnetism or allure is that energy that's just spilling over. So I know that you know what that looks like. Like, there's like this one specific girl who like dresses really hot and slutty at the bar that I can just like think of, that she's like completely full of her own essence, and it's hot, and it's like so hard to look away from her when she's in the room, because it's just like magnetic is just like the best word for it. So just to remind you that not only is healthy selfishness essential for playing these really high energy, really big games, but in order to win, it's like one of the key ingredients. Okay, so yeah. Um so just a little heads up for tomorrow. I'm gonna be doing a little sorting out. There's gonna be a special offer just for the email list ladies. I haven't decided yet if it's gonna be open to the public or not. So maybe just keep an eye on my page for the next week or two. And I'm really just gonna be taking a few days either to like wrap up getting all the content posted for the Courtesan Queen ladies, and or shifting towards marketing one-on-one coaching, because that's really going to be my focus for the next 3 months until 2021 starts. So just to kind of emotionally prepare you for that. And it's going to look a lot different because the purpose of Courtesan Queen was like up-leveling your seduction, your sensual expression, your sexual expression, and the ability to up-level your glamour, right? That's not really the focus of my one-on-one coaching. So the main switch is that I'm going to ask a bigger commitment of my clients. So right now I'm just asking a 1 month commitment at a time. Once I have like a full roster of 5 clients, I think I'm gonna probably switch to requiring 3 months commitment at a time. So if you're not quite sure if you're ready to commit to like that big of a like transition, or oh my gosh, see, I haven't even been thinking in these terms for like months and months, but like I'm so passionate about facilitating big transformations. So if that's something that you're equally committed to, probably a 3 month container would be the minimum that I would suggest. So if you're hesitant to really like deepen into that level of commitment, then I would encourage you to jump in sooner than later. But overall, like, we're going deeper. Like, I'm not going to get into all the energetics of like my own personal goals and things, but those are definitely shifting as well. So there's like a lot of energy and a lot of focus required for my own personal transformational goals. And so just really surrounding myself with people that are really deep in their commitment and very clear on their desires and very clear in the direction that they're heading, and that are like really focused on that and like very results oriented, is kind of like one of the external shifts that I'm intending on creating in the next 3 months. So, if you were a courtesan queen lady and you're not really super interested in that deepening and that level of commitment, I want to bless and release you and thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. And I would like to encourage you to give me some feedback. So I know that this like kind of risks seeming like neediness or like being an attention whore or seeking validation or whatever. But one of the things that I learned from like really asking for help at a really deep level a couple of weeks ago was the depth of my ability to receive. I think that that really got explored and deepened and widened, and my ability and willingness to hold energy in that realm got expanded. So I would ask that if you were interested in Courtesan Queen and you were kind of following along this adventure with me, but you decided not to go for it this time, I would love some feedback on like whether it was about the time commitment, whether it was about the financial commitment, or if there was like a specific piece that was like a hard no for you. Because as like a marketing tool, like I really got the impression that this was like full on, that there was like a lot of interest, that there was a lot of charge around this. So I'm a little bit surprised and a lot disappointed, and like even more just sad that I'm disappointing the women who committed to this journey, and that I'm not going to be able to facilitate without like a full group commitment. So yeah, like that's a really real emotion in my system right now. And it would help me decide if this is something that I will offer again in the future or not. Like if I just don't hear anything back and there's no feedback, I feel like it's pretty safe to assume that like both it got lost in the shuffle of life being super fucking busy, the internet being really loud. Of course, there's like the election going on. I know that like there's a lot of like financial and energetic insecurity until that gets sorted, right? So if that's the reason, I would love to hear that. Or it just might be that there's like totally a lack of interest in this specific pursuit of feminine seduction, especially in this like very far out, very wild, very sexual expression of that seductive archetypical expression, right? Like maybe it's just too far out for some people. I would love to hear that as well. So please let me know if you have feedback for me. I would love to receive that. And to the people who committed to helping me through the last couple of weeks, oh my God, like there were some people that like really made huge donations to be able to allow me to focus on creating this content and promoting this content at the level that I did. So I just want to say thank you, because without that support, I wouldn't have been able to commit to this at the level that I did. And no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm really proud of the way that I was able to show up because of you. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna end this soon before I cry, but like it was really humbling to be able to receive so deeply. Fuck. And the love and the genuine care that came through that support was so deeply received. So like I'm just so grateful and appreciative for everyone who signed up and financially committed that way, or financially supported me through the last few weeks to be able to really do this hard push for this launch. So it means the world to me, and you're amazing, and I see you, and I'm just so grateful for your generosity. Oh, man. So thank you. Okay. All right, queens. I love you. Thank you for your energy and your attention, and I appreciate the fuck out of you. And I officially close this container and release any remaining energies around Courtesan Queen. And some of you I will see in the container. Some of you, hopefully, I will see in a future container of Courtesan Queen. And the rest of you, I will be letting you know in the next week or so, well, definitely in the next 2 weeks, what's next, and how to receive one-on-one coaching from me in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending you lots of love. All right. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon. Bye.